continual service at a well-known Worcester firm, i.e. Hardy Padmore Limited, Worcester Foundry, Worcester, iron founders and engineers, established 1814 and continued in business for well over 150 years. I started there in May 1902 in the drawing office. The managing director was Mr. Joseph Southall. His father was Mr. Thomas Southall, who lived at South Bank, which is now South Bank Nursing Home. The firm generally produced cast iron castings for the ironmongery and builders merchant trade. The variety of articles made is almost impossible to name. To mention just a few, all in cast iron, frying pans, sad irons, tailor's goose irons, furnace pans which were built into brick furnaces with a coal fire underneath, open fire oven grates, both single oven and double oven, also large ranges, mainly for the large country houses. Mr. Southall was a very clever engineer and was educated at the School of Mines. He was the originator of small gas and oil engines. The smallest, if I remember right, was half HP and was called Novelty. Much more powerful engines were built, both for gas and oil. These were generally supplied to county houses, complete with dynamo, and for making their electric lighting. Also supplied with pump for pumping water from the wells. The firm also made cast iron lamp pillars. These started with gas lamp pillars standing about 12 feet to lighting height. Eventually electricity came into regular use, and the lamp pillars then went up to about 24 feet to lighting height. These latter pillars were generally very ornamental and did look very beautiful when kept clean and regularly painted. We supplied this type of pillar to quite a number of the different London borough councils. This was the time before they were all nationalised. We supplied to, among others, St. Marylebone, Ealing, Hampstead, etc., just to mention a few. At this time we were also making sand washers for the filter beds of waterworks. The sand washers were the Greenway patent washers, and Hardy and Padmore Limited had the sole right to manufacture. We also made good gravel washers for washing gravel for building trade. We also did a very large business in switch boxes and the like for the electrical trade, and I do not think I should be far off the mark if I've said there you would probably see some of H&P's work in majority of towns and cities of England. We eventually went on to making high-class castings for the engineering and machine tool trade. Some of the firms being supplied then were James Archdale, H.W. Ward, Mining Engineering, Metal Castings, Thomas & Son, the pump manufacturers, and a great many more. Among a few of the things supplied, either given or sold, which can be seen in Worcester, were the fountain now in Cripplegate Park, originally in the old market hall, the clock now still fixed to the wall of the old market hall clock, the lamp pillars on Worcester Bridge, the crests of the GWR on each side of Forestry Station Bridge, also the bus shelters on the cross. A few years before Mr. Joseph Southall passed away, his elder son, Mr. T.J. Southall, was brought into the business, and when his father passed on, Mr. T.J. Southall was made managing director, and he held that position with the firm until the firm closed down. He was educated at Malvern College. During the First World War we were very busy making trench mortar bombs, nicknamed plum pudding bombs. We had government examiners at the works examining the bombs. The one part of the foundry, in one part of the foundry, in one part of the foundry, there was a pump. You pumped water from a well. The water was used regularly for drinking, and quite a number of families living near the foundry used to bring their buckets and pump their own water. In the years when we did have summer weather, the firm used to buy oatmeal and fill up buckets of oatmeal and water for the foundry man to drink. Where the well and spring actually started, I do not know. Thinking back to the previously mentioned sand washers, many of these were sent abroad, to mention a few: Shanghai, Osaka, Montevideo, and the Crown agents for the colonies. And some of the above sent 2 or 3 repeat orders which speaks well for the workmanship and fine quality of the material these washers produced.